Greetings, salutations, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're watching this. I'm Ryan, setthefacetriathlon.com, and we're going to do some quick little tips. We're going to talk about, it's come up a few times, and I've seen questions and comments. After a race, extremely hungry or extremely thirsty, and you're kind of like, what in the world is going on? I've been there before, and it's just kind of strange. You just can't seem to quench it. So I'm going to go through a few items that kind of lead to that, and then what you kind of can do about it. Just to make sure after a race you're taking care of yourself and you're not digging yourself into a hole and causing a problem that could surface later. Or even the last thing we do is go to the medical tent at the finish line. It's sure everybody thinks that's heroic and bragging point, but in the end of the day, the last thing you need to do to your body is send yourself to the med tent needing IVs or something like that, or medical intervention. So we're going to talk over points that hopefully keeps you out of that situation. So the first point is fueling during race. Race plays a factor after the race. Plays a factor. Spell check. After the race. So if you're not fueling properly during the race, um, your body's just burning through the glycogen stores that it has before it started the race, and burning through anything you put in your body that is readily available. So if you're doing gels, you're doing bars or anything like that, hopefully easy digestible carbs, your body's burning through all that. So at the end of the race, your body's like in starvation mode. I'm eating anything you got, and I'm going to start going after vital organs and stuff next. For the shorter races, sprint, and Olympics, it's not a huge issue. 7.3 becomes a little bit more of an issue. In a full Ironman race, you got some big issues if you're not fueling yourself properly, and you run yourself into a situation where you're just incredibly hungry and you just cannot satiate yourself or something like that. Especially if you're on the race course, that causes problems. So make sure that you have a good fueling plan during the race. Number two, stomaching may turn in conditions. So if you're out in a race and it's 90 degrees, 100 degrees, we've had those types of races. It's really windy. You're really exerting yourself. Extreme conditions will cause you to either use more energy, or it may also make your stomach turn, because if you're hot, the last thing you want to do is jam food in there. If you're hot, you're sweating, you're exerting yourself, your body's just going to say, like, no, I'm not ready for this. And you continue to do the race. You finish the race, and then afterwards, when you turn everything down, the energy level, the energy usage, the energy expenditure, turn all that down, your body suddenly says, I am so hungry, I could eat a horse, give me something right now. So just pay attention. Like, if during the race your stomach is kind of like, I don't want anything just because it's hot out here, or it's too cold, or whatever, that may cause you after the race. And once you finally stop doing what you're doing and you're just kind of hanging out and about, your body kind of snaps back and says, okay, you starved me for a while, I'm ready for food now, and you stop putting me under stress, give me food, let's get this done. So number three, careful not to overindulge on the course. So that kind of is the extreme opposite of not giving yourself enough nutrition, but going out there and treating it like an all-day buffet and jamming everything you can into your face that sounds even remotely good. That will cause you GI distress. That will cause you issues. Your stomach will not process that food. It'll just sit there, and slosh around. And that is a reverse, because you'll end up looking for a porta potty and ejecting your calories, as I've so eloquently heard it called during races. So don't overindulge. It's not a buffet. Don't eat everything you want. Make sure you plan it out. Personally, I'm more of a minimalist. So on 70.3, I kind of ride the line a little bit of a little bit short on nutrition, because just during the run, I know it's 13 miles. I know I can make it usually an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. For me, that's pretty standard. So through that time, as long as I have fueled myself properly on the bike, once I get to the run, maybe a gel or something like that. But I don't like to have stuff in my stomach, and I don't like to be digesting and processing stuff. So I'm trying to run as hard as I can, as quick as I can. So for me, I go kind of minimalist. So at the end of that 70.3, I am hungry. I am, where's the post race food? Where's the snacks? Where's the chocolate milk? I'm all over everything, and I am stuffing my face. But you got to keep it in mind, it's kind of like if you're over thirsty or over hungry or anything, and you just stuff your face. You don't want to get to that point where you put too much in, and then suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, I feel horrible. I feel so full. I need to go I'm going to be sick. Where's the porta potty? Kind of balance it out. For full Ironmans, it depends on hydration, nutrition, pacing for the plan, how much I take in or digest. Because for a full marathon, usually I get a little bit slower like everybody else. And when you're out there for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever long you're out there, you're going to have to fuel yourself. You cannot go off of glycogen stores from the end of the bike ride to the end of the run and make it and be coherent. So you got to make sure, because the end of the Ironman, more than likely you're going to be hungry. Most people are hungry unless it's extreme conditions. It was hot out there or something like that, and at the end you're just like your stomach, your body's just over it. You're yarking everywhere, checking your calories at the end of the race. Um, but usually after a full Ironman race, just be prepared. If you've done your fueling and hydrating right to the end of the bike, and you're doing your nutrition as best you can during the run because your body can only process so much. At the end of that, you should be looking for the food tent, looking for the pizza, the food, the post race food, the chocolate milk, the water, the diet, the Coke, the Sprites, everything you should be looking for it because your body's going to be depleted by the end of that. So just be prepared for that. High sugar race foods may result in disdain for them after. So if you're using Gatorade Endurance, you're doing sports gels, you're doing the quantum energy squares, I think is what Ironman's doing right now. By the end of it, you're gonna kind of that those types of foods you're not gonna want to see them anymore, especially after 7.3 or full Ironman race. You just be like, I'm done with those. I don't want any more any type of sugary drinks or anything like that. Just be prepared. Somebody could put a cupcake in front of your face and like, no thanks. Give me something like pizza with greasy with cheese and something like that. I'll take that hamburger or something else, but I do not want anything. I don't want a bowl of ice cream. I don't want nothing. And that's saying a lot for me if I get to an end of a race. And I've had so many sugary products to try to keep me going through the race. I don't want anything else. So just be prepared for that. Like I mentioned, conditions kind of control your hunger and they'll control your thirst. Obviously, if it's hot, sweating a lot, you're going to become thirsty. That's your mechanism to trigger that you should be drinking water. If you're to the point where you're thirsty, most um, literature will point to the fact that you're already semi-dehydrated. So make sure you got a good dehydration plan. You're following it, especially if the temperature go up. Get to the end of that race, you're going to be super thirsty, and I guarantee you, you cannot drink enough fluids in a short amount of time to make yourself not feel thirsty. You just gotta do the best you can during the race, and after the race, you gotta pace yourself on that drinking. Yes, drink fluids, drink water, drink Gatorade, get replenished, but don't just chug a couple gallons of water and Gatorade. You're gonna cause a problem. You're gonna overload your system, and it's not gonna process properly. You're not gonna feel thirsty, or you're not gonna quench that thirst, and you're gonna have a stomach full of liquids, and it's not fun. It's not comfortable. Trust me, I've been there. It's not just so good. Number 8 depends on your required rate of hydration, conditions versus effort. Hopefully, by now that you've seen enough videos that I definitely promote people tracking their sweat rates and their nutrition intake and playing with that and see how much they can take on the bike, on the run, how dehydrated you get after bike rides, in the heat, in the cool, in your basement, runs, heat, cool in the basement. So you should kind of have a good idea. Not everybody's going to be the same on how much they can take in and how much they need during those conditions. So make sure you're tracking and keeping track of that. Harder effort requires more resources, but puts the body under more strain and reduces capacity to process. So if you're doing an Olympic race and you're trying to do it all out, or you're doing a sprint, your body's going to be like, yeah, I can take a sip of water, but I'm not going to take in solids. I'm not going to take in large drinks of fluids or anything like that because it's just not going to work. And I'm going to make you feel bad for it and make you pay for it. For me, I go pretty hard on sprints, Olympics, and 70.3s. So 70.3 when out there running 7-minute miles or something like that, my body's going to be the point. I can take sips and stuff, but I cannot take solids in. Gels are kind of questionable. So you need more because your body is working harder, but you can't take in more because your body's working harder and you can't process it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So again, you got to make sure you set yourself up when you come off that bike with using lesser intensity because it's not as much of an impact type of situation. Your body can process foods, but once you get on that run, you're not going to be able to process much, especially if you're working hard for it. So just be aware that if you plan on a race, I'm going to go all out, probably not going to be able to take in enough nutrition and hydration to get you to feeling okay and get to that end of that race. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I need to drink everything. I need to eat food. I am starving to death. My time to just right. Comes to me, 70.3 Chattanooga. I was just right. Came to the finish line and was like, where's the pizza? Where's the Coke? I need something. And I need it now because I am starving to death and I'm on the verge of maybe like, do I need to pass out or do I need food? So just be aware of that. The harder you go, the harder it is to get resources in and the more you need those resources. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Next to last, find the set point over training and races. Again, don't let race day be the first day that you're practicing this stuff. Make sure you're practicing on your long days, your short days, your high intensity days. Just test it out. Can I take in water when I'm doing my power intervals, my cruise intervals, at 90% FTP for 4 minutes. Can I take in water? Can I keep it in? Can I drink it? Do I feel okay, or do I feel like I'm gonna throw up afterwards? Can you take in nutrition? Even if you're doing long bike rides in a basement, make sure you're practicing nutrition. You're eating your food. You're eating your whatever your bars, your Pop Tarts, your quantum squares, your gels, your goos, your whatever, and you're drinking your Gatorade Endurance or whatever you're going to drink on the course. Make sure you're practicing it in training, not just race day. Or if you're doing races and you're doing intermediate races, it's a good place to practice too. Last point: every race has the outlier conditions, so be ready to adapt. So could be storming, could all of a sudden be hot out of nowhere. You didn't expect that, so just be aware that you have your plan, and then life happens, reality happens, and that plan you may not be able to execute it as you want to. So that may affect the end of the race, where it's like, well, I had to run really hard. I could not replace the calories because it got really hot, but I want to keep running hard. So I doused myself in water to get to the finish line, and oh my god, I am starving to death. So when you get to that finish line, if you're hungry, if you're super thirsty, like I said, pace yourself. The last thing you want to do is go stuff everything in your face because you're super hungry. Yeah, it's possible, but should you do it? No, because you're going to either be looking for a port potty to either eject your calories, or you're going to have GI distress, or you're just going to get to a point where you're so full and just your stomach just does not feel comfortable, especially after that effort. So just keep that in mind. Just pace yourself. If you've done your race plan properly, you probably will be hungry at the finish line. If conditions are a little extreme, probably not so much about hunger, is more about doing the proper things to replenish yourself. And if you get to the finish line and you're full and you're bloated, probably gone overboard, and you kind of need to probably revise what you're going to do in the future. So those are my points for dealing with, you get to that finish line, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so starving, I'm so thirsty, I cannot believe it, what is going on? Hopefully this kind of sheds some light on it a little bit. Hopefully this helps you out. If you're seeing this on Facebook, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, put in comments if you have any questions. See on YouTube, if you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, you can give me a thumbs down. I don't like that, but put a comment on why you didn't like it. Maybe I talked too fast. Maybe I didn't go in depth enough. Maybe you want to hear more about something else. Put that in the comments. Give me subscribe. Hit the notification button. See future posts and tips and stuff that I put out there. So hopefully this helps you out. And again, setthepacetriathlon.com. I'm Ryan Falkenrath. We will see you at the finish line. Good luck in your training. Have a good day.